Yes, I'll hold. Hello, Disney? Would it kill y'all to use paintbrushes again? Jesus Christ.
It's Drewski McGillicuddy's Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs movie review.
All right, you should know how this works by now. Don't make me have to push that button more than once. Oh. Hey, everybody, it's Drewski McGillicuddy, and this is Maximus Christopher Bryant, or is it Christian?
It's Christian.
I can't read. Oh, it's a kid's movie. We're talking about a movie that's rated G. I'm sorry to say that if there are any small children in the room, you might want to remove them now, because you never know what's going to come out of my mouth. But since we're doing a Disney movie and people might click on this video, I'm going to do my best to behave myself.
You already ruined it.
Well, I'm not starting over again. It's getting hot in here. Oh my God. Don't worry about me, everybody. Here, we'll just cut this out.
So we just watched this.
Hold on, let's start over. So Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs from 1937, huh? And I distinctively remember this being my very first theater experience. I was like 4 or 5 years old. I remember the long trip because I was with my grandma and she lived like over the river and through the woods, like legitimately over the river and through the woods. That's how I got to grandma's house. But we went into civilization to the movie theater and saw Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs for one of the re-releases, because you know how Disney likes to cash in on something that already exists. See, they've been doing it since the beginning of time, everybody. Ever since Disney was a company, they would make something amazing and then just keep reselling it to you. But,
But this is their very first
full-length
animated
picture.
Because before this, all Disney was doing was creating Mickey Mouse and Silly Symphonies, these short little snippets. And nobody said that you would be able to create like over an hour-long cartoon for anybody to sit through. They said that this was a bad idea to make Snow White. And in the 30s, while the Depression's going on, it's like, yeah, it's probably a dumb idea, but Disney, stubborn.
Well, yeah, didn't you say that Walt Disney put a mortgage out on his house and put like everything he had into making this movie, and that if it would have flopped, he would have ended up homeless probably?
Yeah, and then you wouldn't have had Little Mermaid or Lion King or anything else.
Even though Walt Disney didn't really necessarily have anything to do with those because he was dead by then, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, then you wouldn't have had Pinocchio and Dumbo and all that and everything that led
anyway,
up. The company wouldn't have existed.
This movie took forever to make it. You can kind of tell by looking at it, because some of the animation and the art, like this is art. This was back when animation was art, not just some computer generated, some guy sitting on a computer. I mean, sure, that takes imagination and stuff like that, but this
animation, like the old cell animation, the animators drawing each movement and then it all having to be painted, taking forever. And this, this really pioneered animated films, going forward, and created a whole, what came to be.
Because the animation and just the color, and like you could tell that they used a paintbrush to do all this, but there's just so much attention to detail. Like he kept talking about like the wood carvings inside of the dwarf's house.
Well, that was the whole thing. Like the Snow White movie comes from the Grimm brothers from Germany, and so when they came to making this film, they wanted a very European influence. The wood carvings, the cottages, the woods, to be all like kind of this European type atmosphere that they were going for.
There must have been a lot of owls in Germany at this time, because there's a lot of owl faces. If you watch, there's a lot of owl faces, and pretty much everything, like the door hinges, the sides of the steps,
even the chairs, the designs outside of the cottage.
But just that kind of attention to detail. But anyway, Snow White. Let's talk about the story.
Okay.
So there's this. I'm sorry, I forgot this was a rated G movie. You might be watching with this with your kids. But there's this
Rated G.
there's this lady, right?
G.
And she's the queen. So she asked this mirror on the wall, who's the prettiest person in the area that they live in, and she's talking about Snow White, which happens to be what, her stepdaughter.
Yeah, stepdaughter.
We don't even ever see the king. You ever notice that? You ever see the king?
Nah, he's long dead, I would imagine.
Oh, he's dead.
Evil stepmother.
See, because
This
like
started
they're like, well, let's go back to the beginning. First of all, this movie starts with a book, a lot like most of the original Walt Disney, like the original ones, all started with a storybook opening, and the animation for the storybook almost looks real, or is it real?
It is real.
Oh, that's why it looks so good.
You were that convinced. It was almost done with a computer, you would think.
Oh my god! But yeah,
That was a book.
because this is like the 30s, and it's in color, and like aside from The Wizard of Oz, like not many movies, or The Wizard of Oz and Gone with the Wind, not many movies were made in color.
I'm not so. Yeah, I wouldn't know much about it. I would imagine, no, that wasn't.
But yeah, back to the art style. Like, just this movie is so gorgeous to look at. Like, it's like watching art come to life. And then, in between, like, the singing, because there's a lot of, singing, like, iconic songs like Hi Ho, Off to Work We Go, or Home from Work We Go, whatever the hell they said.
Mm-hmm.
This whole time I thought it was Off to Work We Go. I guess they sing it either way, right? It goes either way, because they sing it on their way to work and on their way home from work.
Yes.
That's beside the point, though, everybody. That's completely beside the point. What I'm getting at is even when they're not singing, they'll be talking back and forth with one another, and the whole thing's just poetry.
Mm-hmm.
If you listen closely, it's all just poetry, and it's beautiful. And I can't believe I haven't seen this movie in what feels like 30 years.
Well, even growing up, like, I didn't know this was made in the 30s. Like, you kind of assumed that.
Oh yeah, I thought
Mermaid
when I was
and
little,
Snow White
I
was
thought
like
it came out in the 80s.
Yeah, that's what I thought. Little Mermaid was 89, and then this was 37. You don't even realize it until you go and look, and you realize, okay, yeah, this is way older. But as a kid, it didn't matter.
Because what was it like? Because right before, because I remember The Little Mermaid was not long after this, or after seeing this, The Little Mermaid came out. That's more proof to me that I saw it in 1989.
You must have, yeah.
Oh, let me see. I'm gonna have to chop all this out and get my thoughts out properly.
Well, that's.
What was I talking about?
You were talking about how beautiful it was, and
Well, no, I'm talking about like
the fact
being
that
a kid and thinking that this came out in the 80s, and then here comes The Little Mermaid, because I feel like they must have known, or because of the fact that they had made a new one, which was The Little Mermaid, they were like, well, here, let's re-release all this stuff too. Or does Disney just do that every 10 years? Here you go. Here, buy this VHS. Oh, now we got this fancy VHS. Oh, now we made it to DVD. Oh, here's a DVD. It's the Diamond Select. Oh, wait, hold on. Blu-ray came out. Oh, wait a minute. Not just Blu-ray, Diamond Series Blu-ray.
Well, what the time period you're talking about, Disney Animation Studios, like Disney.
Hold on, see, because we did do 2 takes. Did I bring up the fact that Disney, like...
He died in the 60s.
No, I'm saying that, like, even back then, like, I don't know if they did it in the 30s, but, like, once these movies came out and they made so much money, they were like, you know what, we can just release the same thing over again and people will pay us again to watch it.
Yeah,
And
well,
they're still doing it.
this is
they've
before
mastered-
home entertainment.
They've mastered the art of manipulation, even though this is a quality product, everybody. Like, I'm sure everybody out there has seen Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? You were children once. Your parents had you watch. It kind of reminds me of like if they're sitting there at home.
Everybody
right now,
knows Hi Ho.
If they're sitting there at home thinking, actually, no, I've never seen Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. It's like, somebody should lock you in a cabin. It reminds me of that scene from the Addams Family Value.
Don't worry, we're getting out of here.
But it's Disney.
Actually, we'll cut this out too. All right, so let's talk about the story. So go all the way back to that lady talking to that mirror, and the mirror tells her that Snow White is the most beautiful woman in all the land, or something like that. I don't know. I wasn't paying attention. But then this puts her on a quest to kill Snow White, which is kind kind of morbid, you know, a little overreaction. Oh, she's prettier than you, so you're gonna kill her. But hey,
It's a little psychotic.
this came from Grimm's fairy tales.
Like Grimm brothers.
Now, were those made for kids?
I mean, I think that there was just a different threshold. If you read,
We're
if
gonna
you
get off
read those
track
fairy,
again here
hold
for
on,
a
if you
second.
read those fairy tales, there's some messed up stuff in there.
Well, there's some messed up stuff in this movie because I was getting off track again, everybody. There's a scene when the queen is, getting ready to make her potion to turn herself into the old hag, the old haggardly witch, which, might I add, is like one of the scariest witches ever put to screen. Like, if they were to make this in real life, I could imagine it'd be terrifying. But anyway, she walks past this little, these bars sticking out of the, I guess it's coming up.
It's a jail cell, and there's a skeleton reaching out from it.
Yeah. Can we find that image? The secretary doesn't do her job. She's sleeping. But if I can find the image, if not, he's dead. It's a skeleton, dead like this, and there's a little glass of water just right out of his reach. So this queen put this water there. It was like, here, if you can reach it, you can get a drink. And the guy died trying to get this water, and then she just let him lay there and decompose for however long it takes for a person to decompose, all the way down to just a bleached white skeleton.
You were really disturbed by that.
That's up to be putting in a rated G kids movie. I mean,
And this is a rated R review.
this movie was dark. It's dark. And apparently they wanted it to be darker, but Disney was like, oh, you need to calm that down. This is for kids. Oh, well, hold on. We're still allowed to leave this guy that, died of thirst, which has to be the most excruciating way to go. Well, thirst and starvation.
But, I mean, there's other parts where you see that they kind of leave things out. Like when Snow White takes the bite of the apple, they don't show her face. They just show her from behind a thing with her arm hanging out with the apple.
But yeah, okay, so that's what happens, all right? Let's get into the damn movie, okay? So Snow White is off singing in the woods, talking to the birds. Or was she talking to the birds when the huntsman came up and he was going to stab her?
There was a lost little bird, and the huntsman was going to kill her, and then he had a stroke of conscience.
Oh no, he saw her and was like, oh, you're so beautiful. I can't kill you.
That's not what he did. He walked up, he was about to stab her, and then he drops a knife, and then he has a breakdown and says he cannot do it, and that's when he reveals to her what the queen's
how
doing.
beautiful she is.
Sure.
I'm pretty sure he said something about, oh, you're so fair, which is basically saying you're beautiful. Or so, I don't know what the hell he said. I wasn't listening. But the point is, he didn't kill her.
What he said. Okay.
So she runs off into the woods and gets lost, and then has a total acid flashback.
All the trees are turning into monsters.
Now, here's what's funny about this part. We watched it with Gabriel. You know that little child that comes over here every once in a while? He's seen all the scary movies. Refuses to watch Disney movies. He tried to refuse to watch The Lion King when he was 2 years old. And I told him, you better get your in here and sit down and watch this movie. And I smacked him a couple times and made him sit down and watch this movie. 5 minutes into it.
Oh, it ate her.
He was just enthralled, captivated, just got sucked all the way into it. And then, aside from the fact that my sugar was dangerously high because I went to Frisch's and the jack gave me regular Coke when I specifically asked for diet. But that's beside the point. I think I'm doing better now. But yeah, I was even sitting there like you should have seen look of wonder on my face and his face, because he was watching it for the first time, and since I hadn't seen it in so long, I felt like I was watching it for the first time. Are we ever going to talk about what the goddamn movie's about? So she's going through the woods.
This is an important part, because the kids today, you're watching the CGI films. If you're not watching
Wait, he never once pulled out a cell phone. Oh my, he doesn't have a cell phone because he's 8 years old.
Parenting advice, yes.
Okay.
But, I mean, it's not a CGI film. It's not Minions. It's not, Monsters, Inc. It's not Frozen.
It's just art.
It's traditional animated film you know, one of the first, and he's just sitting there watching. And I was kind of wondering, like
I kept nudging him, like, look at him.
He's just watching it.
Look at, like, oh my god.
He's not distracted. He was
because
totally
there's several movies that we've sat him down and he's.
But a film from the 1930s kept a child's attention for almost an hour and a half. Listen. Were you reenacting the dwarves popping up over the bed?
I hope I don't have to
Well,
bleep out all these cuss words. I'll just try to
probably
stop.
so. Well, she goes into the forest, and then she befriends the animals, which is what Disney princesses
Yeah, I even asked him. I
do.
said, "Hey, is that Bambi? Wait a minute, is that Bambi?"
I do think there's
a lot like Bambi.
I think there's some recycled things in this that end up in Bambi, like the pheasant family and the.
But then
animals
they
coming
start,
out of
you
the
know,
woods.
comes into this house. There's dishes just piled up. They're like hoarders. They've never swept. Kind of looks like my house. It's like there's a dust an inch thick on the shelves. Like, don't worry about my house. Worry about these dwarfs and how just despicable they are.
Uncivilized.
They're uncivilized. They've never washed. Like, you should see how dirty their hands are.
Mm.
But she comes in and just takes it upon herself to, oh, you know what? You know, I got all these animals. We ain't doing nothing. Let's clean this place up.
Mm-hmm.
And then it tuckers her out. So she goes and she lays down and she takes a nap. And then they all come home. That's where you meet them in the mines, and they're singing that song that everybody loves that I'm probably not allowed to play because I'll get hit with a copyright claim or, hell, even a strike.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, you know, with the animation playing and me talking over it, that'll be good enough to be different than what you're used to seeing. Anyway, go ahead, Max. Hi-ho!
Oh, we're starting from that part.
Hi-ho! I don't know. Let's not even do it. Anyway, was that pretty good, though?
I was impressed.
I can't even out of this here. There's another F word I'm going to have to blurp out. I'm not even going to bother. You know, if I don't make any money on this video, it's no skin off my whatever skin would come off of. Anyway, so she goes up and she takes a nap and all the animals fall asleep. But you know how animals are. Even when they're sleeping, they're still very alert. And they hear the dwarfs coming back from work and they all just abandon her and just skedaddle and get the hell out of there.
Mm. And then they discover that the cottage is all clean because she spent the whole day doing
And it kind of freaks them out. They're like, what's going on here?
happening?
There's no sugar in my mug.
No, there was no dishes in the tub, and they're like, our dishes were stolen. And it's like, no, they're hidden in the cupboard. So, like, no concept of civility at all.
Yeah, they don't know what's going on, and they don't much care for it.
No.
So they go up to find a ghost. Ooh!
She's under sheets, so she looks like a ghost. And they freak out.
It scares them. They all leave, and then they send Dopey back in, which he's the last person I would send to do anything, honestly. I mean, Dopey.
You like Dopey.
He's the most iconic one, but I think it's because he doesn't have a beard, and he is kind of hilarious. But
Well, there had to be comic relief in this, and Disney even said that only in scenes where there's animals, dwarfs, and Snow White can there be that kind of comedy, that comic relief. Otherwise, like with the witch, you didn't see any.
Oh,
It was just messed up stuff. So messed up stuff, witch, comedy with dwarf.
Like even the scene. Like, okay, let's get to it. We'll get to it. Like, because they have this scene. It's kind of funny where they're all freaking out over her, and then once they finally meet her, she cooks some dinner, but she won't let them eat dinner until they've washed up, and they do not understand the concept. Actually, I mean, I guess they get it because she asked him. He's like. It was like a week, maybe a year. Wait, recently. It was recently. Recently they washed.
Sure. And then upon inspection of their hands, it's a lie.
Yeah, like they got the grimiest hands I ever seen. And
then they go out and they look at the tub. And they're like, what are we going to do? We got to wash?
It's just crazy to me, like, how entertaining and just enthralling this movie is for being something that came out, was made for children in 1937, but still kind of resonates. Like, this movie is basically, you're a babysitter's dream. Like, you're babysitting kids, put this on. It'll teach them how to wash their dirt. And what else does it teach them? It teaches them how, that you shouldn't just have laying around everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
But
it also teaches kindness, and I think that's Snow White's biggest attribute is just general unconditional kindness to everyone.
you know, nowadays kindness doesn't matter. What matters is total domination. Never mind. I'm not even going to bring that up. I'm not even going to bring that up. How this is frowned upon nowadays because Snow White needed a man to save her.
Well, that's kind of, well, I mean, there's both ends of it. There's one that the idea that it's the job of the woman to civilize the man, and then it's the man's job to go work. And so when you get into these norm things that nobody likes it. I mean, not nobody likes it, but it's not necessarily something that can be pushed anymore. Like, this film cannot be made today. And if it is,
not allowed.
Then Kristen Stewart has to be Snow White, and then she all of a sudden has to learn, magically discover that she knows how to fight in the middle of the damn film. That wasn't hinted at all.
Oh, have you seen that movie?
I have.
See, it just looked terrible, so I never watched it. Now, there is a 1990s... There's a 90s Snow White that's sort of a horror film. I don't remember it at all.
I prefer this version.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it set the groundwork for many Disney films to come. You know,
we're not even halfway through the movie.
Oh no,
are we?
No. Well, I mean, like she meets the dwarves. Grumpy don't like her.
Yeah, Grumpy doesn't like anybody.
And then
let's see, what all dwarfs are there? We'll show their picture on the screen and we'll tell you about them.
Well, even the dwarfs, their characteristics were come up with Disney because the original story doesn't name them like grumpy, sleepy, sneezy.
Oh, so they didn't have characteristics in the original either?
I don't think they did.
See,
I think they were just
here you were supposed to be this fountain of knowledge.
Well, from the Disney perspective, but they had a list of like names. Like there were 70 different names. They could have been like lazy, it could have been snappy, whatever it was. And Disney had to determine, okay, what characteristics were the dwarves going to have? And so, sleepy, sneezy.
Don't do it so fast because I got to hold the card up. And okay. Look, everybody, that's what Sleepy looks like. He looks like he's sleepy.
I think he has the biggest beard, too.
Okay, Sleepy's got the biggest beard. Who's next?
Bashful.
Bashful. He's very embarrassed or nervous. Is he nervous? What the hell's bashful even mean? That's what bashful is right there.
Well, he turns red whenever
you talk to him. He just gets...
Sneezy.
Sneezy. He Achoo. He sneezes a lot.
Quite a bit.
That's his characteristic.
And
Doc.
Doc, the leader. Doc.
We should have saved him for last, but yeah, Doc. He just something wrong with him.
He stumbles over his words, and you thought, wait, was that a mistake? Was that a mistake in the film?
The first thing he said or something when they got in the house, I was like, was that a blooper? And they just left it in.
Right. That's what.
Seems like how would they have a blooper in animation where it's just don't worry about that. Who's next?
Happy.
Happy. He's just all the time happy.
He's like fat and happy.
But a lot of them seem like they're happy, so any of them could be interchangeable with happy because they're all happy except for Grumpy.
Grumpy! What's the next one?
I don't know. Who's the next one?
Dopey.
Dopey? Well, he's everybody's favorite. Why is my auto focusing? Don't worry about that. So there's Dopey, and then what? What?
I think that was 7.
If that wasn't 7, let us know if we messed up in the comment section down below. That'll be a way for you to interact with this video. Where are we going? Where are we at? Okay, so they met. Now we get to the part that's like the most disturbing part in the movie where she checks the mirror again and she's still not the fairest of them all. So she's like, well, that's it. This bitch gotta die. I'm gonna have to do it myself. So she makes this potion out of mummy dust and a bunch of other shit. But it's like, where are you getting mummy dust from, lady?
That was honestly your biggest concern. I'm like, it's an animated film. And he's like, where's she getting mummy dust?
And she just happened to have mummy dust. I mean, they're supposed to be in Germany in like the 1300s. When the hell were the mummies a thing?
Well, way before that, like BC times.
Yeah, but what the hell was she doing? Going around pyramids, sweeping up mummy dust.
If we have to get accurate, there was trading already happening.
Oh, okay. So people just traded mummy dust.
Maybe.
You just find mummy dust anywhere, just laying around. Okay,
she was a witch.
Okay. Anyway, so she rubs some mummy dust on her something like that, and then
one of the ingredients was a thunderbolt. She's like, "Give me a thunderbolt!" And then
keep forgetting that this is for children.
It's like, it doesn't have to be that accurate.
Anyway, no, I'm just saying I'm talking about stupid stuff and I should just keep my mouth shut sometimes.
Right.
Anyway, don't worry about that. This is the part where she walks down the steps past the little dungeon thing where the guys... did I find the picture? I wonder. Just
I hope you did.
It's probably not even on Google because everybody hates me. Maybe I could take a screenshot of it if I can find the clip. Don't worry about it, okay? But this part's kind of messed up. And then her transformation into this... because it wasn't even... Because I thought it was supposed to be a witch. But she's not even supposed to be a witch. She's a
peddler.
A peddler. And she's peddling poisonous apples.
Yes.
But the transformation scene is absolutely fantastic. What else?
Well, and then after that, you get into the... how you see how she makes the apple, and that's where you discover how love's first true...
Oh, that's bullshit.
True love's
That's
kiss.
Bullshit. Snow White don't need her no man.
No. In this movie, it's a poison apple. Sleeping death is what it causes, and it is the antidote is love's first kiss.
Now, I
True
remember,
love's first
like,
kiss.
they've both seen each other prior to this, right?
Right, but they did not kiss.
Did they even talk to each other, or did they just see each other in passing? Because I remember the horse.
They said hello, and then they
Frolicking.
sang to you, and then he sang to her, and then...
Because this all happened when I checked my sugar and found out I could possibly be dying. So I kind of stopped paying attention for a second.
But they did meet one time before.
So, but yeah, she finally gets to the little hut. The dwarves go off to work, and she gives them all a kiss on the forehead before they leave, which is another great scene. Because Dopey keeps running in the window, and he keeps trying to kiss her on the lips, but she's just not having it. She's just not having it. But yeah, I mean...
It's cute.
She gets there and gives her the apple, and then the birds are like, no, I'm eating that shit. And she's like, oh, come on, birds, don't be rude. And, she shoos the birds off, and for some reason, eats the apple.
Well, she's told that it's a wishing apple.
Well, yeah, but that's beside the point. I'm not trying to spoil the whole thing for everybody that hasn't seen this movie.
We spent like 26 minutes spoiling
Oh
this
my
thing.
God. Anyway,
A little late now.
She eats the apple. And she kind of dies, but she's sleeping. But
death.
she doesn't starve to death or die of thirst.
This is also a break from the original. The original, it was supposed to be a comb. And then when the comb's taken out, is kind of when she comes to life. But here it's an apple.
A comb just seems stupid anyway.
Well, I mean...
Oh, I brushed my hair. Don't touch me!
Oh, God.
Anyway, what was it talking about?
Well, she fainted.
She fainted.
And the dwarves...
They put her in this glass coffin because they could not bear to bury her. And that's the whole reason the queen did this, was so that they would bury her. Oh, yeah. Not to mention, when they... Okay, we're jumping ahead of ourselves. We're going to go back. Okay, she takes a bite of the apple. She falls down. She's laying there. The birds are like, you... So they run off to get the dwarfs to tell the dwarfs she's in trouble. Mm-hmm. And then they come back and they catch that witch trying to... She's not even a witch. She's just a peddler. She's just a poisonous apple peddler.
That's a witch.
Peddling apple poison.
Queen witch.
Okay, so she is a witch. And they catch her climbing up the side of this mountain, and she gonna kill all of them with this big old boulder. But God, I would assume it was God, right?
I don't think God was given credit in this film.
Well, anyway, lightning strikes just in the nick of time and sends her plunging to her death. Oh shit! Did I forget to say spoiler alert? Shit. I mean, this movie came out in 1937.
If you haven't seen it yet, that's your own damn fault.
So yeah, they got her in this glass coffin, and he's talk about somebody that doesn't notice shit. He's been watching this movie his whole life because he ain't had cable, and all he had was VHS tapes of Disney movies to grow up watching. That's why he ain't never seen no horror films. Which we're gonna correct that eventually. We'll show them all to him.
It's not a big deal. The glass coffin has Snow White written on the side,
and he has never noticed it before. And like this Blu-ray was open, so I know he's watched this Blu-ray before.
Yes.
But anyway, yeah. So then here comes the prince, played by a man, to kiss her and wake her up and rescue her and carry her off. And sunset.
Towards their cat.
And now that triggers people.
Well, I mean, obviously the older princesses, such as Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah, tell them your theory about how it's
no, it's not a theory. It's
like
a
feminists slowly started being like, you know what, you can't make movies anymore.
Look, Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella, they all pretty much get saved by someone else. And you don't even see a Disney princess until Little Mermaid, who's more rebellious. And then Belle, who, you know, stands up to a mob of people and basically has to come back and save the beast. And Mulan.
Strong female leads.
Mulan rebels against the family and fights in an army. And even Frozen, you know, they don't even need a man to save them. They just need the love of two sisters. So, you know, as time has gone on, there's been a much more of a progressive idea of what, you know, a Disney princess is and what they do. And more of an, you know, instead of being saved, going and doing the saving, that's just evident in what we've seen. And, you know, you can't tell the same story over and over again. There has to be
I know, but do you ever think maybe little girls want to be rescued by a man?
You can't promote that idea. You got to promote, you know, independence, and
yeah,
you know,
yeah. I don't know.
Don't
it just aggravates.
I don't like teaching the idea that you have to have someone else fix everything for you.
I have the secretary fix everything for me.
Well, then she's your princess.
Something I don't know.
See, was that even offensive for me to say that?
I don't know. Probably.
Dude,
I'm sure something's bound to offend somebody.
I don't know.
I don't even know if we should be talking about this stuff.
I don't know. You're
in
gonna
a
have to
Snow
cut the
White
last 2 minutes
movie
off.
review.
You gotta cut out the last 2 minutes.
Maybe. I'll think about it.
We're gonna have to trade.
Let me know if I cut out the last 2 minutes in the comments section down below.
Look, it's a great film. I loved it as a kid.
It teaches morals and values and good something traditional something.
It teaches that animated films can be successful because this was a very commercially successful film. And if it wasn't, you wouldn't have had Pinocchio or Dumbo, even though Dumbo has some racist stuff in it too. But you know that you
they
don't
knew
have
not what they did, but it was still magical and enjoyable.
The Black Crow was named Jim Crow.
We'll have to wait till we get there to talk about that. But anyway, but have you been triggered by this video? Wait a minute, hold on. No. Now we are going to have to cut that out because I'm going to have to go back and we're going to have to rate it.
Oh, okay.
Out of a 10.
Well, look, okay. Real quick fact check.
That IMDb score.
I know.
Don't make me have to cut up too much.
I'm sorry. So, IMDb has got it at a 7.6, but Rotten Tomatoes has got it at 98%.
I'd definitely give it like a... We'll put mine in front of me.
Okay.
I'm giving it an 8.5.
I'm going to give it, in the context of...
Actually, I don't know. I don't even know why. Why would I give it an 8.5 when it's obviously a 10 out of 10?
In the context...
Perfect. What is there in the slightest that would be possibly wrong with this movie that wouldn't just make it a masterpiece?
This one thing. This will always bother me about Snow White. Her hairstyle. If
he's got a point.
The hairstyle is clearly a result.
You're gonna have to wrap this up though. We're degrading.
Okay, I'm sorry.
So we've been going for 30-something minutes.
Look, her hairstyle is a bob. All right. You see this little bob thing?
It was very popular in the 1930s.
Right. So
where it wasn't popular was the 1330s.
So it makes no sense why she has the hairstyle she does, but it was, you know, it was the Betty Boop type of hairstyle, and it was popular, so they went with it. I don't know. And so that's the 9.5.
Yeah, I'm just giving it a 10 because
But in the context of the time,
like I said, I was sitting there watching it with just the most.
You were freaking out about your blood sugar too, but the movie calmed you down, I think.
Yeah, and like I said, this kid who hardly ever sits down to watch anything for more than 20 minutes just sat there with this look of wonder. That's what I was looking for, the look of wonder on his face. Like,
but I need to know this from you. If there was an 8th dwarf, what would the name have been for the 8th dwarf? Putting you on the spot.
Oh God, people are gonna get mad, but if this movie came out today, it would be.
I'm out. I'm out.
All right, well, let me know your thoughts on Cinderella. That's not even what we watched. Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Leave a comment. Let me know if I've crossed any lines, because I'm just doing the best I can, okay? And you can like the video. Just do stuff to let me know that we haven't been sitting here for a half an hour for no reason. And you can follow me on the social. And if you want to check Max out, should I leave a link for your socials so people can stalk you on?
No, I'm not.
Okay, he is the pumpkin smasher, though.
I'm not having them coming after me.
It's not like you. I don't know. That was a joke for Tiffany Lilith Quinn, the VHS queen. I think she'll get a kick out of it because it's just a joke. Everybody lighten the up.
My 8th dwarf would have been.
That's what I was going to go with. All right, get the out of here.